Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Adam, and I don't know
You
what
just
that
had a
was
weird
about.
little look,
I don't know what that was
right,
about.
Like right when we started, but it's good. You know, we're rolling right into it. We got plenty of hot dogs here at Speak, Film, and Enter.
That we do.
Yeah. So today we are talking about May, December. A very highly anticipated movie for me. I'm a really big fan of Todd Haynes. I know, Adam, you'd seen one of his movies that you really liked. I've seen like 5 or 6 now.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell the people what May, December is about?
Indeed, I will. 20 years after their notorious tabloid romance gripped the nation, a married couple buckles under pressure when an actress arrives to do research for a film about their past.
Buckles under pressure. Like it's all kind of their fault, which it kind of is, but also not.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's all self-inflicted, I'll say. Like,
yeah, this is a fascinating movie.
So it's supposedly on like a pseudo, like true story as well.
Loosely based or inspired by, I think.
Yeah,
is
one of
kind
those.
Of the way that people usually put that.
But like
something from the 90s that I was not aware of at all. We were like 5.
Yeah.
So way over our heads.
Erno or something, I think, was the original person's name, but I didn't do research into that, so I can't.
And this is like the 5th or 6th collaboration between Todd Haynes and Julianne Moore.
Yeah, they only make movies together, I guess.
And then Natalie Portman, this is from her production company.
Yeah, I saw that.
She had always really wanted to work with Todd Haynes. She was sent this script, and she sent it to Todd Haynes, and her dreams came true. Basically,
Hollywood miracle.
Yeah, I think this is easily one of the most interesting movies of the year.
For sure.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like this, including like all other Todd Haynes movies, which the closest for sure is
Safe.
Far From Heaven.
Oh, okay.
Also with Julianne Moore, which I just watched like a week ago in preparation for May, December. Like there are some similarities there for sure, but this still goes to levels and kind of has certain angles on things that I've never seen in a Todd Haynes movie. The way this is all put together is, I mean, I think this is a great movie, but it's the kind of movie that it wouldn't really surprise me if like any individual person I knew loved it or hated it.
Yeah.
But that's also understanding that like most people seem to be liking this movie.
Yeah.
It's just one of those deals where like there's just enough strangeness and like at times ickiness here.
Just unease.
And unease where if any one person said like, why did you recommend that movie to me? I hated that so much. It wouldn't shock me, but I'd be very disappointed because I think there's a ton of fascinating stuff here, and I think it's incredibly well made.
For sure. When I got done with this movie, I was like, I don't know that I liked it, but I don't know that I didn't like it. Like, I enjoyed it. I like understand what it is. I really appreciate what it is, but I don't know that I want to watch this movie again. Do you know what I mean? I like it. I like it. I just don't want to see it again. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but this is also a movie that as I get farther removed from, I just want to watch it more and more. Like I need a second viewing for this. And I think part of that,
I don't want to, but I need it.
Part of that is because of the way certain things are stylized, and it just kind of takes you a while to figure out exactly what the movie's trying to do.
Yeah. And
you
like
sort of understand
who is who and what their kind of vibe is.
And kind of who you're supposed to be sympathizing with at any given point, because it kind of changes hands quite a bit, except for Charles Melton's character. He's pretty easy to sympathize with, like for pretty much the entire movie. But between Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, like every other scene, you're just kind of like, Julianne Moore is really screwed up. And then like 2 scenes later, you're like, is Natalie Portman actually the person we're supposed to be rooting for here? Because she's kind of doing some shady shit.
Yeah.
Some like unethical stuff. I don't know. It's just such a fascinating movie. And the more and more I think about it, the more it all works for me. And that's why I really want to revisit it. I meant to watch it again before recording this episode. My only opportunity would have been last night. And instead of watching a movie, I just watched like 3 hours of YouTube videos.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's a wise way to spend your time, as we
Sometimes you just gotta turn your brain off and watch.
We're on this platform. Come on now. Like,
yeah. Sometimes you just gotta turn your brain off and watch like 2 hours of Graham Norton show clips.
You do. It's just, it's always fun. or like a game that you wanted to see highlights of or something.
Absolutely.
But, I think this movie just has a lot to say about relationships. It's got a lot to say about individuals in relationships. It's got a lot to say about like what each person is consciously or unconsciously going for and why they do those things. When you say interesting, this is what I get out of it. It's fascinating to have all these all of these angles.
Our obsession with scandal.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much packed in that you go like, oh, that's a really good point. And then you see somebody else do something kind of weird or kind of regular or kind of fucked up when you know that they're like a regular person or vice versa. And you're like, man, what a good commentary on this, or what a great point. And it might not be like the super deep thing, but it's just this little like, I'm gonna scratch this, and I'm gonna scratch that, and I'm gonna like, there's just so many different things that it has to say and that it brings to light that it does make you kind of question just your behavior, the behavior of others you've seen. Like, it just everything starts to kind of blend. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, all right, I think I have finally like solidified like how I feel. I think this is very good and this is very bad, or this person's very good and this person's very bad. And then it just kind of flips you yet again. And that's not a giveaway by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely like it plays with you more than you think it does.
Yeah, there are a lot of emotional twists and turns in this movie. I also think it's really funny at times.
For sure.
Like really, really funny. It has that hot dog line, I think, is maybe the funniest moment in any movie this year.
I don't know about that, but it's good.
I'm like replaying that in my head over and over again. I think the way it's executed is just one of the funniest things I've seen this year. And then the ending is hilarious. I think.
It's hilarious. It's all, this whole movie is overcast by just how like unsettling and uneasy of a feeling you have about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really know why. And you don't, like, obviously at the beginning, you understand that there's like a tension, or you understand that it's just kind of awkward. This actress is in this woman's home, like observing them to become her. But that's not the awkward part. There's just this uneasy feeling throughout the entire thing, and that's the part that like you can really latch onto and go like, all right, this is funny. Oh, this is dark. Like, it plays with so much.
Yeah, it really does. And I think part of the reason that all works so well is because, for me, I think this might be the best collection of performances in any movie I've seen in 2023.
Yeah, everybody brings it.
Even like the dialogue between Julianne Moore and her kids, or just her and Charles Melton's kids. Like, it's just perfect teenager, like perturbed with their parent kind of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much like little passive aggressive shit and insults that she dishes out. Like all of this worked for me pretty much. And you get to the end, and there is, for me, an element of like, this is what all of this was for. Like, it's just, this is what you're getting out of everything. If you've seen the movie, that doesn't give anything away, but I think you'll understand my point if you've seen the movie. But I don't know. I thought this was a really good movie. This is easily in my top 5 for the year so far.
Yeah, I read an article recently, like kind of listing the top 25 movies of the year, and this hadn't quite come out yet, and I was waiting for it. And they had it listed pretty high. I think it was in the top 10. And I was like, I don't know that I would put this in the top 10 right now. I'd have to like look at all the movies that I saw from this year and then kind of go through and rank them. It's definitely in the top half. And it's definitely like, again, it's such an uneasy and unsettling movie that it's hard to say that it's like, it's not a thriller. It's definitely just a drama, but it's just done in such a creepy way. Almost like the subject matter itself is kind of strange. It's just done in such a creepy way that it's hard to, maybe that's what it is, like hard to wrap your mind around, like just the different aspects of this. But there's so much good about it. The performances are stellar. It's shot really well. And I say shot really well as in like the close-ups of certain characters, or like it brings you in the mind of that character more than some of the other movies we've seen this year that don't do as good of a job. I'm thinking specifically of like Napoleon, that doesn't really get you in their headspace. This really does. And then it just leaves enough to be like wonder about, like, okay, what's the motivation behind
or like what did they mean by that exactly?
Yeah, like I knew it was a dig, but why is it a dig? Or like in what fashion?
Right.
how is somebody else like pulling the strings and controlling something else? It's a subversion. It's all just that weird, insidious shit that happens with broken people or hurt people. You want to call it that?
I wanted to include two really quick. The scene, kind of one of like the scene where the poster is from, one of the more memorable scenes in the movie, where Julianne Moore puts makeup on Natalie Portman. That whole thing that's one take. That entire scene. And there, you can see some interviews online with them talking about that, where Julianne Moore was like kind of freaking out because like she needed to get all the makeup right for them to kind of look similar while doing like the acting.
Yeah, while being the person.
All one long shot, and it's like a long, like 4-minute scene or something. You don't fall down. You okay?
My chair just hit my desk, and the whole thing shook. Sorry.
All right, we're good.
I'll scoot down.
Yeah. That scene is just incredible and shows how good those two are. And then again, Charles Melton, the scene on the roof with his son is really good. And he's real. I mean, he's the heart of this movie. And then you have these kind of like grenade throwing, sometimes they're smoke grenades, women kind of going at each other, sort of. I don't know. It just all worked really well for me. That was kind of all I had. If you want to get into the stars.
Yeah, let's do that because I'm sure we got a little bit more to say, but we'll be right back with our star ratings.
Okay, I will go first here.
Sure.
I'm giving this 4 stars. I think it's a great movie. This is one of 5 movies now that I've seen this year that I would feel very comfortable having in my top 10 of the year in like any year.
Okay, that's a good way to put that.
Yeah, and it's kind of a fascinating. I'm going to be curious to see how well this does on Netflix, because I think it kind of walks a really interesting tightrope between, like, it's a very well-made movie by a great artist about trashy stuff.
Yeah,
where and with 2 highly recognizable stars.
Well, and fantastic actors.
And like great acting. Plus Charles Melton, who's a great casting as a TV actor, famous for like Riverdale. And then putting him in this particular role in this particular movie is really good casting. So this is a movie that I feel like kind of checks a lot of different boxes for people.
Absolutely.
It's going to check the boxes for like the art house fans who love Todd Haynes. It's going to check the boxes for people who have never heard of Todd Haynes and see Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman on there and see like, ooh, this like sort of tabloidy story. Maybe it's kind of funny. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's a little bit of a mystery here. Like, who knows? I just think this works really well. Last thing I wanted to touch on, the score, I think, is awesome for this movie. So much of
it's a little like
works. Campy. A lot of choices here like work specifically for this, and I don't know if they could work in many other contexts.
Agreed.
But they're all specific choices for this specific movie, and they all work very well together.
Well, and that's the mark of a well put together movie, right?
Yeah.
Like everything that's there, it serves its purpose. I don't think that the score necessarily is like anything you're gonna write home about. It's a little bit campy. There's kind of an audio cue that happens throughout the movie. It's the opening. It's in the opening credit scroll and all that kind of stuff. So you know it right away. It's recognizable. It's a little bit like, I wouldn't call it like dumbed down, but it's a little bit.
No, it's like obvious. A play on like 90s soap opera scores. And that's why I think it works.
And there's portions of this movie that look like a soap opera. Like it's intentional in that way. And that's where the artistry or some of the creativity of doing this like tabloid, maybe TV movie, whatever it is, and making it like an actual story and making it interesting and the people in the story interesting versus just like, oh, look at this wild thing that happened to this crazy woman or this like young boy. I'm also going to go with 4 stars. It sticks in your brain a little bit. I mean, I watched it 2 days ago, but it's very much like, I don't want to not tell people about this movie, but I feel like I need to put like a pseudo warning on it. Just as like, hey, it's going to be a little bit weird. You may not like the subject material. That happens. That's fine. And to your point about like, this is a great Netflix movie. I don't mean to shit on Netflix here by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes they pump out movies that like you can absolutely sit and watch like this. Okay, sweet. Like, you know what you're scrolling on your phone. You're not paying attention really. This kind of starts that way, but it demands that you pay attention because the acting is so good. Some of the monologues are incredible. The scene you were just talking about where she's putting makeup on her, like that, you need to watch. It's just there's just the little idiosyncrasies of each character, like trying to read the other person. A lot of that, all that stuff is there. It's 4 stars. This may go up, to be honest.
It could for me if I watch it again.
Yeah, upon a rewatch, it's just so interesting to think about, and like we said before, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different takes and a lot of different angles you can pull from this movie, and I think that's fascinating, and it's definitely just interesting by and large. Maybe that's why tabloid stuff is so fun, because it's just interesting on a base level, but it's engaging.
Yeah, I mean, I also just think too, this is a great movie to talk about. You watch this with a group of people, you're going to be discussing it for quite a bit after it's over.
Yeah, and I last thing I'll say is while it is like touchy subject matter, older woman, younger boy, it's not like gross at any stretch. It's not like
they don't
try to be.
They don't cross that line. This happened in the past. They talk about it a lot, but and also I almost forgot that freaking scene with Natalie Portman at the end, that monologue where she's like staring into the camera.
That's what I was saying.
Yes, amazing.
That's some of her best work ever, ever. So, and I like a lot of the stuff she's done. So that is, I think, I mean, I don't want to call it high praise because I don't think my opinion's, the end all be all. You don't
think getting 4 stars from the Speak Film and Enter podcast / YouTube channel is going to matter to these people?
I mean, I hope it does one day, but but I mean, it's a very good movie. I would love to see it maybe get nominated for a couple awards. I certainly hope that there's a.
It sounds like Charles Melton's got a really good shot at getting a supporting actor nomination.
See, I would love one of these actors to get something because they're all powerful actors and they all.
I'd love an original screenplay nomination here too. I think that would be amazing.
Yes, that'd be fun. So that's what I've got. 4 stars from me, 4 stars from Nate.
All right. I think it's your turn to put a wrap on the show.
I've got it. Just when you think it can't get any worse, you run out of cigarettes.